on. Hello, the channel. Welcome, everyone, and welcome, Rootcoors. First appearance on the channel.
Hello, the channel. Good to be here. Good to be invited on. Been looking forward to this. I think we've spoke so much over so long, but never on a call with each other. So it'll be interesting.
Yeah, all the WhatsApps, although it was me that got you into MFL as well, eh? So just for the
Yeah.
viewers, etc., you used to be on obviously different sort of fantasy football stuff, FPL and like Sorare and things. I knew that MFL would be like your sort of perfect thing because I knew you liked like Football Manager and you
Mm.
just resisted for so long and then you become worse than me. So sorry about that.
Yeah, I think I resist. God, it must have been for like 6 months or something. I partly didn't have time, and partly when I first looked at it, I was like, I'm just not sure. And then for whatever reason, like you say, we WhatsApp all the time. I think I just decided one day to take the plunge. There's probably a few beers involved, I'm sure about that. And I just took the plunge, and then, like you say, never looked back. And here I am with clubs and a podcast with the two lads, and yeah, it's just booming. A community in Discord, it's just going bigger and bigger. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's great.
I know. I think it's one of those things. Mostly when I talk to people, obviously, like it's the fact that they're sort of random generated players, or that they're not like real players and things. So that sometimes puts people off. But obviously, you've got a full sort of marketplace. If you get somebody that's really good, they sell for good money. So before we go in, if you're just sort of watching this video, there is a really good deal on for next season at the moment as well. I think it's got about 2 weeks left. So if you buy a club for $80, you get $20 of credit, which you can buy other players with. You can buy packs with. You can just like sort of do whatever you want with it. So that's probably the best deal that they've ever really given out. And yeah, I mean, I don't know how you feel about. Oh, I forgot to say, if you're going to use somebody's link to sign up, use mine's. Don't use his. Make sure you use mine's. But if you're not going to use mine's, then use Rootcoors or the Yorkshire TRXP link or whatever. That's fine. But I'm number one in the queue. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I don't know how you feel about things in general. Obviously, I had a wee hiatus, which we'll probably come back to when we're talking about clubs and things. But
Mm.
how you feeling about the game in general and the market, etc.? How's things going for you?
Yeah, I mean, I've obviously seen it evolve a little bit because I think I came in season six, something like that. So I have seen it evolve to where it is now. I do think once we start seeing a few more retired players, the market will obviously calm down a little bit. I think it's just finding that way to play those low end players, those sub 55, which I know they've done like the Flint League, trying to do it out with with a new user, which really works quite well. But it's that I just there needs to be a home for everything because you know not everybody wants to climb to the top, as daft as that sounds. Not everybody A wants to do it, or B can sustainably do it. So there's a market at every level. So we are seeing prices come down. You can pick limited cards up for a couple of dollars now. Whereas I think when I was joining, I was paying like 10, 12, 15 still for some limited cards. And you'll see that coming back surely, because I know you're obviously picking up some older players and some younger players, but you'll be seeing those extramentally lower than what you were before. Because I saw some of the prices you bought some of the young ones for when you were here last time round.
Yeah, probably a bit too much to be honest. Yeah, I mean, I think that naturally that's the way the game should be as well. So when you come in, the players that you need to populate those teams that are miles down the overall pyramid should be affordable. Obviously that there's a reason why there's an $80 sort of buy-in for
Mm.
new clubs because it's a bit like I don't play FIFA or whatever, but you buy a computer game and that's like your outlay and you've just got to like say that's my
Mm.
buy-in. I want a license. The other thing is the licenses can be resold as well. We'll talk later about the one I've just bought. So you get a good city, then that's quite good as
Mm.
well. But you buy a license and that's obviously your one-off cost. So getting the $20 for that deal is quite good, and then obviously you can loan in players, but you're going to have to like make up at least 15 or 16 players. You can't just like buy 11 players because you're going to have to rotate
Mm.
a wee bit, maybe some tactical options as well. So,
Mm.
so yeah, I mean, if it's going to be like $10, $20 for your first players, then that creates a natural barrier where people just can't really get in at all. So I think
Mm.
it makes a lot of sense that the lower value players are less. What really needs to happen, and I think it is already happening, is that the best ones and the most sought after ones, like the really good young players, high level young players, they've all got to
Yeah.
be expensive because then, if you get your lucky pack in the drop on Wednesday night, or you get a guy who just starts shooting up and they're just like, progressing insanely well, then there's a market to resell them into. So yeah, I mean, I think the one massive thing I've noticed since I've come back is that some of the leagues which are one or two steps down from where I used to play are actually got very good teams in them. So as you say, some of those guys who are like in the high 80s or whatever, when they retire, if they're not being replaced, then naturally it will maybe just bring the standard of some of the leagues down. Because like Iron, like I mean, yeah, for new viewers, obviously start Flint, Spark, Ice goes up through different leagues. Then you've got Iron, Bronze, Silver, Gold, Platinum, and Diamond. So Iron's kind of somewhere in the middle, if that makes sense. But like
Yeah,
I'm running into guys at the bottom of the league that have got 80s and all that sort of stuff, like across the board. So it's quite
yeah.
hard at the moment, but I think that will regulate itself at some point soon.
I think there's that creep, wasn't it? You had lots of the creep. So, like at the minute in Flint, people because they're getting their first club, and you can get all your loans in, and some people are willing to loan, or they're buying older players. You're getting stacked teams down there because of people that want to get up fast, and that's the difficulty you have, and that's why the other league they put in where it was capped at 54 rated players or lower really worked because if you could get into that league. You were able to make sure you could make use of those players because at the minute when you're in Flint, it's very difficult to get out unless you are having some limited or on commons. I think the thing at the minute with the promo, just back to that, the good thing about that is you can get a full team to play in Flint for that $20 if you wanted to go on the market. I think the other thing is getting involved in communities if you're going to loan. Like the auto accepts on the loan market, they'll always pay a premium because the guys think you want to get the players quickly. But if you can get into any of the communities out there that are out there, you really will be able to negotiate with people and get those loans right down. But I do think it's a good time to join because of the promo. But I do think the platform's flourishing now. I think like with you coming back, obviously we've got our communities and stuff. I do think it is in a really good place. And like you say, as retirements kick in, they have started to put a lot more younger players in the packs as well. So even though I have absolutely shocking pack luck, there's quite a lot of younger players coming through in packs,
Yeah.
which again brings the recycles it back round.
Yeah, I think that I mean the last time obviously the game was really quite new and they'd only started the aging, so there was like a year or a year and a half of the game I think where there was players and they hadn't started the actual aging process until they built the platform. So obviously what when I read the white paper etc. So there's a white paper on the site and you've got all the information in it, but when I read that like it said that the younger the player comes in on average the more the difference between their potential rating and obviously what they come in at. So you'll get a lot of young players who'll come in at quite poor ratings, but then you will get some who are, are bangers. You'll also get some who are really late developers, so they won't do anything for
Mm,
ages, for years, and then all of a sudden they'll just start like getting pretty good pretty
mm.
quickly. So I think that's all good fun, and obviously progression is really one of the most fun things I
Yeah,
think in the game. If you get a guy who is developing by a few points per season or whatever, then it's just a real fun thing to
mm,
do in terms of following them. But I think like the first time around, I probably paid maybe a wee bit too much for a lot of the young guys, but then that sort of saved me. I never really run into any retirements,
yeah,
and then when I did sell some of those guys on, I did still have some resale value in them as well. Some of them had improved, so some of them
yeah.
actually managed to sell for more money because they went up by six or seven or whatever.
Mm.
So it was a kind of wasn't a bad situation really
And it
overall.
depends on how you want to play it, doesn't it? Because we were having the conversation yesterday about, I think I've just brought in goodness how many young players, and they're all like bottom end. But the way I see it is if they're like 18, 19, 20, that I'll put them in dev center for 3 or 4 years. When they come out, they're either sellable because they've actually popped off, or they're playable in those lower areas, so they can still feed my like Flint and Spark teams quite easily to be playable. Plus, they've probably then also got what the best part of another 10 seasons maybe to play as well. That's a lot of game you're getting out of that one person that's maybe cost you $1 or $2 that you've took a risk on. And then because I only focus on the one club really, which is the dock side at the top, they'll go as high or just sit them wherever my financial status allows me to play. If I can get any of those that pop off at the bottom and they end up getting like 10 on a season, 10 on a season, 10 on, I'd end up selling them at some point, and then that would invest back in dockside. We all dream of going for that progression from the bottom all the way up to like an ultimate. I mean, it's very obviously difficult or a legendary, sorry, to do, but it would be nice to see that.
Yeah.
But you can't see that every day, clearly.
Yeah, I mean, I think like it's interesting. So if I had kept everybody that I had, than I would have a 96, a 93, a 92, etc. now. So it'd be interesting to see how far up I would have got. Obviously, so the background to people, like if they're kind of new to the site or whatever, obviously existing users will maybe be a wee bit interested in it. But when we got that point where the proper season started and the game really grew, obviously you had like Quinny was on board already. So Nepenthes or Nepenthez eventually came on board. You had the thing with Football Manager wasn't being renewed, so obviously a lot of people moved over from that. I got involved. Some of the other like Sorare guys got involved as well, put a bit of money in. So naturally you get that sort of boom, and then what has to happen is there's got to be some sort of consequence of that. So either people keep like going along with that, or like my gallery had went up, or my agency had went up actually a good amount in value. So when I got to the point where I was just maybe struggling for time, or I wasn't as like finding it as interesting or whatever, then it was quite tempting just to say, well, I can just obviously sell these guys on. So I've never actually been properly away, but I did have a couple of seasons where I didn't have licenses. So I had like development center players who had already spent like $20, $30 on each guy, and I just put them in for 4 seasons. And it's like, well, okay, have a break, and then might come back. Obviously, after that, we'll see. Obviously, what happens. But I think what they've done very well is obviously been quite they kept the sort of the pack levels down very low. So I see like Wednesday night, there's like very few rare packs. They don't sell really legendary packs, which means that if you want to get like legendary players, you've got to accrue MFL within the game. So that suits the guys higher up, but also means that once you do get up there, if you manage to get a team that you can run for a few seasons and you start getting some legendary players, then they're going to be quite scarce as well.
Mm.
So that's kind of what I was touching on earlier. The guys at the top of the game have got to be like, they've got to be valuable. And you do see players going for five, six, $700 quite a
Yeah,
lot, and
yeah.
that's naturally, I think, should be happening in an active marketplace. So
Hmm. Think I've got about 50 odd players in the dev center at the minute from my agency. And then obviously I think I've just picked up the best part of 20 in this off-season bit just to take a punt on. And I usually do that between seasons, sort of like stick a budget out of maybe like 40, $50 to go, right, I'll invest that in progression. And if I see a player, they don't have to even be a common, they can be limited or uncommon. I've got some uncommons that are in there because I maybe packed them and they were like, I don't know, 19, 20. And I'm like, well, I'd rather put them in the dev center because in a way, if you put them in for 4 seasons, you get 120%. You're guaranteed that 120% progression. And it's a good way of assessing those players as well, rather than give them game time. So I kind of treat that as my youth squad. Obviously, if they ever brought youth squads in at some point, it'd be ace. But right now, that's what I treat the dev center as, just like my youth area, if you like.
what I'd quite like to see, and I don't know if it'll be possible, but maybe when there's more retirements, is like if you've got different clubs, like it'd be quite good if they developed an intake. So, for example, it might be a randomized intake. It might be that you get a better chance or a better quality of an intake as you move up through the leagues. But then also for that intake, then there might be a price that's payable. Maybe it's payable in MFL, or maybe it's payable in MFL or dollars.
Mm,
And then again what that would allow MFL to get some income because
yeah.
from existing users they would be quite happy. You see a guy coming in at 17 and they say the guy's a 70 or whatever, everybody
Hmm.
would be, even if they were given a price of 30 or $40 worth of MFL or
Hmm.
dollars, like everybody would be like desperate to bring somebody like that in, just fun levels. Because I did have a look at Arden, like you can actually go on Scout and then you can just filter the age of players and go through. There's
Mm.
not many good young players in the game. There's not a lot. There's not a lot
No.
of volume. So obviously that's one of the reasons why they're quite expensive. But also it's probably just because naturally you're trying to keep the balance in the game. Because if you whack in loads and loads of young players with those random progression stats, then you'll get a good volume of them who'll go up to the upper scarcities. So they're probably trying to protect the status of the legendary players or the ultimate
Yeah.
players or whatever. You don't want too many ultimate players in the game, otherwise the whole sort of
Mm.
thing's just mucked up really. So
It's quite interesting as well. I don't think not everybody realizes that when a player tips over a tier, they do actually go up quite a bit in cost. So if you've got like 53, 54 rated players that you've picked up for $1 or two, let's just say, and they progress that season and manage to go past the threshold into the next tier, so into limited, that player is instantly worth almost double, if not more, of that, depending how they carry on progressing as well. And you
Yeah,
see that certainly when you get up to rare level and then the next tier over, it's a substantial amount more just for that one little bit. And that's why, like you see in my agency, lots of the players are under the threshold because I want to get them over the threshold. Maybe then I'll assess, do I think they can keep going in that one in limited, say, and go up to uncommon, or do I cash in on them? And I'm not worried to sell players as they're getting older. I mean, if you look, well, like you say, when you look at my agency, there are some older players in there I'm using, but majority of them are super young. Because
yeah,
that's just the way I like to play. And like you say, you just going back to when you were saying about joining and stuff, like you can be competitive. I've got teams that are in Flint that are just started off with pretty much every player was common by about three or four that might have been 55, 56, and they finished in like fourth or fifth in the league. Like you can still be competitive in those lower leagues, even in that. But you just got to remember that there will be one or two teams in every Flint league almost at the minute that are stacked. But if you're building it for progression, then you're all right.
yeah. I think that's where if you're playing a new platform, you've sort of got to learn as well, right? So that's why
Yeah.
it's good to get into some of the sort of the groups. You know, you'll have knowledge in the groups. You'll have people who can help you, maybe answer some questions. You'll have people who help with tactics. And you'll people who, you like you'll have experience with how players have progressed, what they're worth later on. As you
Yeah.
say, I mean, one of the reasons why players are so much more valuable going to the new tiers is because, well, they're not selling many rare packs, obviously at the drop. So like I'm seeing like the actual reward rare packs going for like
Hmm.
$100. So somebody wins MFL in the game, you don't win dollars per se, but then they're
Hmm.
buying player packs and then you can resell them in the market. So obviously those are going for like $100. So that keeps value in the rewards for people as well. Because obviously if you're going to be putting a couple hundred quid in or whatever, at some point you want to win something, even if it's just a case of turning over your gallery again. So I think the game's quite well balance at the moment. Obviously, like all games, it needs new users because, well, first and foremost, people will come and go for a time as well. You know, there's no guarantee that 2 or 3 years' time, me and you will still be playing it. I think we probably will be, like, but there's no guarantee of that. So obviously, from MFL, I nearly said so rare there. Jesus, supposed to be talking about MFL and so rare, not that word. Yeah, so there's no guaranteeing that. So you need new users to come in
Yeah.
and, bit of fresh blood from time to time and, just to keep the game going basically. So
And that's it. I think, I mean, it depends, like it goes back to the levels you want to play at, doesn't it? If you want to play at the top, it's a serious investment every so many seasons to keep playing there. But if you're playing in Ice, Spark, and Flint, if you get those younger players off the bat or start picking them up as and when, they're going to last you a year or 2 years, real life years, I mean, so X number of seasons. Then your investment to just keep playing at that level, if you just enjoy it, is very minimal because you've already got your club or two clubs or, t 10 clubs or whatever you've got. So your investment becomes less. And if you are interested in loaning people, you've got that as well. And I think
yeah,
that's the key. Once you get past that first hurdle, and that's why, if people sign up and get past that hurdle, I think you can get sucked in quite easily. And like you say, you've got communities. I mean, I will shout out our YTXP Discord. It's booming now. Not trying to promote one of our own channels there, but to your point, people in there are doing transfers. They're helping with the match engine, tactics, player progression showcasing. There's so much going on. Then you've got Wendirk and Ramble as well. And there's those communities out there have got loads of people in there that are just willing to help any new user.
yeah,
It is a really good community area, and you'll know that yourself. I mean, you're in like Sorare and things like that, or any other communities. The MFL one, is there's no toxicity in there. You get a couple of people that are maybe negative here and there about something, but then it's overcome quite quickly. And I don't, obviously, the bigger you get, the more chance you're going to have some of that. But at the moment, it is a really quite happy place to be, really.
yeah. I think that's maybe because like obviously on other platforms like Sorare, there's so much focus on like instantaneous rewards, if you know what I mean. So like,
Yeah.
you do get rewards on MFL, but it's probably a slightly more of a slow burner, if you know what I mean. So like the seasons last 3 or 4 weeks on So Rare, for example, you get 2 game weeks per week. People are wanting instantaneous stuff or whatever, and that can create like sort of impatience. Whereas on Play MFL, it's like you could buy a guy, say, spend $100 on a guy, and he's 19. like 11 or 12 seasons. Seasons are 5 or 6 weeks if you include the breaks. So in real life terms, that's going to be like a 2 year lifespan. And okay, you've spent like 80 quid on this virtual player or whatever, but you get to use that guy and like in some way get like sort of attached to like these daft like fake players and stuff like that. So that definitely does happen because like well, I even bought a guy back. I've got a guy who's basically paid $15. Like he's only got 1 season's left. He's nearly as old as me in real life. But he's going to come back and play in one of my best teams. And I'm like, he's went up a couple of clicks since I sold him like a few
Mm.
months ago. But I thought that's quite cool because he's been in the agency before. He's a good striker. I'm going to use him selectively in games. But I don't really care about the ROI on that. I just wanted to
Yeah.
spend the $15 just to have him to use him again and to be competitive. So I'm not doing
Mm.
that thinking, oh, I think that'll make me $20 back at the end of the season. It probably won't because he's going to retire, but I just wanted to be able to use him. So yeah, there's other involvement like choosing your tactics, what formation you use. Obviously, like player management as well. Not running guys into the ground in terms of like energy levels, and then obviously the cups and everything are quite rewarding now. You get MFL for every single win. So anyway, we're going to have a wee chat about sort of how your season's gone. I know you're
Yeah.
probably going to share your screen, and then I'll have a chat about the different clubs and stuff and what the plans are, and then we can chat more at the end. So you want to share
Yeah,
your
I'll
screen?
share
We'll
my
see what's
screen.
been
Yeah, yeah.
happening. And is it Dockside your best team? Is that right? Yeah.
Dockside, my best team, yeah. So these are the clubs I've got. So I started off with the Rum Lads. That's why they've kept that sort of like that icon. It's the one that doesn't quite fit the brand, but that was the first club I got in a pack when I first joined. Was this club here? So they were my primary focus. But then obviously I don't live too far from Hull, and Hull is my team that I support. So soon as the Dockside license became available, and to your point about overpaying, I certainly overpaid for it. Even in the market at the time when prices were what they were, but I don't think there's many of them on the platform, and at the end of the day, I wanted it. So then I just made that my main team now. So Dockside were my main team. We'll have a quick look at how they got on. So they had a storming season. So they were predicted fourth, fifth, something like this. Um, and now they're promoted as champions from Stone. So heading into Iron. So really happy with that. We had a good run. We kind of like had a little blip there, went out the cup, and then just in crazy, crazy run of games. To your point around squads, again, I just run a nice 18-man squad. It's what I like to run. It's not OP for the league either for Stone. It's just like you said, I didn't even think I'd be going up as champions. I thought I'd be mid-table. So it's not OP, but I guess that's where tactics come in and obviously players as well. So you'll know a load of these players. Let's be
You
fair.
bought
Like
them off me when I was drunk. That's why.
no,
Like, I
let's
don't
be
even want to
honest.
look at the
Like
prices because you had me a couple of those nights. You've seen me on the beer, and you're just like I would wake up in the morning and go, "Oh crap, who have I sold Philly?"
like this guy. I think I got him like here from you a couple of seasons ago, and he's yeah, that's quite a nice 160 to 45. Quite happy with that.
Yeah, he came in at like
Um,
17 or something as well. So again, he was one of those
yeah,
guys where I paid a bit of a premium because I knew I was going to have him for a long time, if that makes sense. So
that's it. I think as well, people get het up on the OVR, but you like this guy down here. Where is he? This guy. So he's like a 78, but his stats for the current engine, where he's got 70 pace, 72 passing, some physical and decent defending. He's better than right backs that have got a higher OVR than him, you see, because he naturally plays, or I play to his strengths. So, he's got a little bit of progression. I think the guy that everybody dislikes when they play against is this guy that I picked up from you as well, Clarkey. He just bags goals for fun.
fantastic
Um,
hair as well.
yeah, fantastic. So grabbed him for 40. That was a late night. You got him late night as well, so maybe that's a thing you do. You overpaid late night, and I underpaid late night.
I
But
think he was I bought him like when he was like really going up quite quickly in terms of that graph, and he
yeah,
was still maybe like
you'll have got
19
him
or
here.
something, 20.
Yeah, you'll have got him there without a doubt. But you
So
get that, don't you? People teeter off. I mean, if we look at progression, you can look at current season. Not a lot of these have progressed, but then all time, maybe they've done a lot of their progression already. That's the right back I was talking about, obviously. But if you
yeah,
look at the other right back I've got, you see he looks like he's got better stats and he's slightly better, but he's not. Maybe it's the pace that's letting him down, or the physicality is not as strong as the other guy. But yeah, they have massively overperformed as a club. And then I'll just show like these are my tiers. So I've got Dockside will just go as high as they go. I'm not going to invest in them for next season in Iron. I'll just see what happens. I don't really need or want to invest. The players are young enough; they can still got some progression. And then I kind of tear it down. I've got some in Ice, some in Spark, some in Flint. And the idea is these don't want to go up or down. They just want to stay where they are. Everybody that progressed in here in Flint that gets good enough, they'll go into Spark. Progressing there, they'll go into Ice, and then once they're at this level, that's when I would look to move them on if it makes sense to. But I have got a couple of teams here that have overperformed as well, like the Bulls, like massively overperformed. They were predicted like eighth or ninth, so quite far down. And they've just had a storming season. They're in the playoffs. We've got our third playoff game today because we lost the first one and then obviously managed to win the next one. So that's got our final playoff game today to see if we get up to the next level up into Stone. But I don't necessarily. I'm not going to throw the game because I want to win. But getting them up would be a headache for me because again, in terms of the squad, they're not really a very strong ice squad. They've got some high 70s, but they're not an OP ice squad. They're just playing really well. And as anybody that knows me knows that I literally just live and breathe by the 4-1-2-1-2 narrow. No one will get me off of it no matter what. I think any formation can work in any engine, and I just hone into this. So I will do an extensive amount of testing before the new engine, and I'll just tweak wherever I need to tweak to get it to get it to work really. And then the only other thing I'll show is like we're talking about at the lower end for those people that are coming in. Like this team, yeah, okay, they finished fifth and they're quite far behind these guys. But like you say, if you look at some of the guys at the top here, they will have for a Flint team, they've got all limiteds, like all limited players, which you can do and you can get out of it with that. And then I think my club has got some limited that have maybe progressed up into there and then mostly like low 55s and 54s. But some of these will have just tipped over this season. So like he's tipped over this season, so he was 54. And the same probably can be said for some of these other 55s, So yeah, he's tipped over this season. So again, I didn't stack them. It's all about progression and breaking the tiers the hardest part. But if I keep them all consistent at that level, it should be okay. Um, but then, yeah, it's now about planning for next season. So I think in terms of my agency, I'm at like 336. And I've just been bringing in all these young guys here. And pretty much all of them, apart from the ones that are being sold because they were maybe in packs, they'll all just go into dev jail. They're not going to age, so they're all like season 13. So they'll all go into dev jail for 4 seasons and I'll see what happens. And then in terms of like players to fill clubs, I just start at the top and work my way down when I'm doing it really. So if I'm doing like I'll do like the best centre back in ice, then the next one and the next one, and just pass it through the teams. It naturally cascades down. But I won't break tiers. So like I wouldn't put anybody that's like generally 65 and a limited in any of my Spark teams, even though I know that I'd be better because I've got the players. I'll choose to loan them out. So all my own commons will play in ice. All my limiteds will play in Spark. And then all my flints, bar a few limiteds that have progressed. So most of these have progressed this season will play in Flint. Does that make sense? So I've like tiered
Yeah,
it down, which isn't
yeah.
there. That's not going to necessarily get me promoted, but if I keep those little groups together, they should hopefully stay towards the top half of the table and get me the best chance of progression because they've all got similar rated in the players as well. They're all playing at a similar standard, and then anybody below that, age wise or whatever wise, will just go in dev. Then anyone that's left gets loaned out. So you'll see up here people will be like, why, how come you loan these guys out or didn't play these guys and like this one to Nasher and all that? Well, I only had one team in Stone, so I'm not going to put these players into ice because I don't think they're best in that division. And I think that's the thing that people need to remember as well. If you stack high players, like if I took some of these 74s and 72s and played them in Spark, I'm going to, even if they're overperforming, I'm going to hinder their progression, right? Because they're not playing at the level that they need to play at. And you'll see that if you pick up like one of the players, I don't know, let's see down here. This might be a bad example, but I'll just pick one off the bat. It'll tell you up here if they're playing at the right level. So you'll get like the red down arrow, won't you, to say they need to be performing at a higher level. There'll be some down here, I'm sure. Like maybe this guy. Let's pick another random
Here's
one.
one we made earlier.
Yeah, like yeah, I'm not. I would guess maybe they're all just playing really well for me, but there will be some that I'll tell you, and they're the ones you need to hone in and think, right, I definitely need to get them up a level. But yeah, I've got some really good progressions. But I guess because I keep my teams quite tight, they're quite happy with their training and how they kick on really. And then like you say, I think with me in terms of planning, progression wise, which is my favorite part of the game. I didn't get a lot this season. I got a couple of these. Hursty's in the dev center. He's just kicking on. So this guy's had five there, six sort of like there. So he's probably one of my best progressions in dev center. He's got another one to go. But again, don't discard those players that are like 46 or whatever. 'Cause he's up at 61. So if he carries that on again, he could tier break next season. And then he could have gone from in Dev Center, which I got him in a pack, a common player pack at 46. So he'll be 24 years old. So he'll be going into 25 playing ability. And he could be an uncommon player. And then I've got a decision to make. Do I use him or do I sell him? Knowing me, I'll end up keeping him. I don't, do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So can kind of go like get all these young players, get them to progress, and then you can sell them on, and that's where some ROI comes in. I do have this inability to sell, so I end up then just keeping them till
That's how
retirement.
you've got like 10 clubs and like 300 players or something. So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, I'm gonna have a wee look at the gallery and stuff as well. So yeah. Can you see that okay at your
Yeah,
end?
yeah, I
Yeah.
can see that. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, cool. I didn't know whether it focused on the right screen. So yeah, thanks for your help with obviously the badges. So Costa del Bridge has been sorted out. The badge was a bit of an issue, but managed to get it sorted out. So yeah, so came second, bit unlucky last game of the season actually. Randomly get beat 6-1. I don't know why that happened. The guy was fourth, so he had a pretty good team, but yeah, I really like on previous results thought I'd win, and then I did win the playoff. I don't know why it's saying watch replay. I think it's maybe just because I wasn't properly logged in. So that's gone up
yeah.
to ice. The squad was actually pretty reasonable. I mean, obviously, as you said, you don't like having like these guys in Spark. I mean, some of these guys like Venegas is like about to retire, so he's only got a season left. So I sort of picked him up about on the cheap mid-season to sort of bolster the promotion campaign. So yeah, I don't really sort of mind that.
I think for
Sometimes
me,
if you
just when you're saying that, I think for me it's because I've got those 300 players. Like for you, you can just if these get promoted twice, you can probably use pretty much all this whole team. So you're
yeah.
investing the players to take the teams through, whereas I've got 300 and something. So like for me, I don't need to
Yeah,
worry about that. I'm focused on one club, I guess.
probably will have about 300 soon, but anyway, that's another point. Lisbon Lions, so this was a club I picked up from Rizu. So it used to be Rizu Lisbon. Was in the playoffs for Stone going up to Iron, won the first game, but then beat the second game, which is no real disgrace. I mean, the other team was pretty good, and this is his striker, right? So I mean,
Wow,
like for that level, like that guy's like a very
that's
good. I think
insane.
like, it looks like I think he packed him, so he's just
Right.
decided to keep him and use him in his agency. But just a ridiculous striker to run into. So it was one of those things. I don't really mind that squad just now. Obviously, is the squad I've inherited from Rizu, but I've actually started sort of building. So I sort of built a squad that's probably a wee bit better. So brought in a good goalkeeper, an 83. This guy's really good. He's an 86, but again, I got him quite cheap because he's going to retire next season. So he'll be running out of energy quicker than me these days. But yeah, I mean, he's an 86, so he'll be absolutely brilliant for that division. And I've got quite a well balanced team overall. I've got a few guys who are maybe slightly less. This guy Herman's will be his last season in the game, so I've just put him in as a bit of a filler for backup. But I think he'll get into a good cup, so I'm pretty pleased
Mhm.
with that. And obviously Stone is a reasonable level, so that's kind of looking ready. I'll look back at the overall agency in a wee minute. Got Celts on tour, so I managed
Love
that.
it.
You'll see I put a wee variation on the strip here. So you'd put the Scotland flag in the background. So I put my first bit of blue into any kit. Usually it's green and white, but went for a bit of blue there. and went for the old Celtic Bumblebee shirt as well. That's
Love that.
an actual classic. So yeah, this team used to be called the Pigs. So we went down. To be honest, it was like my worst team, if that makes sense. So obviously, it's still pretty good team, but for iron level, like very few sort of
Mm,
like really good players and quite a lot of sort of lower down players, sort of uncommons in the 70s. So yeah, I mean, I wasn't really expecting to do very well in that, and that was sort of came to fruition, unfortunately. So there's some really good teams up there. It's like that was like Calvinator's team, and he's got quite a lot of 80s there, like really sort of good team. And then Celtic boys, so I'm a wee bit disappointed with where I finished, but obviously it was a sort of discovery season in terms of how good people were going to be, and yeah, I mean it's quite tough. Like at the moment, like some of the standards, for example, this guy came bottom right. So this guy, wait, you see this right? This guy's bottom of iron, and he beat me as well. So let's find that game because I was playing him and I thought, no, no, I did beat him. I did. He beat me 1-0. That's right. So this guy bottom of iron. Look at his team. He's got an
that's
86, 84
yeah,
after captain. He's got two 80s. He's like got no guys in the 70s, like one guy. And you
yeah.
obviously I've got a pretty good team. I've rotated slightly for this game, but I've got quite a lot of 84s. I had to, my right back was suspended, so that was a bit of a hit. But yeah, I mean, just bottom and iron, like just such a good team. So I don't know how well set up he was in terms of owning these players or whether we're loaned in, but you're expecting to come up against bottom and you think, yeah, well, this guy's not going to be very good, but he was good. So yeah, this is a team at the moment, but I have been doing a bit of work for next season, so starting to look a bit better. So again, you can play the game in different ways, right? So like this guy I brought in, it's his very last season in the game. He's such a good player, 95 for passing. He's really improved a lot throughout the whole of his career. He went for $73 in January and then I got him for $19. So quite expensive, $19 just for one player for one season in that division, but really good. And then this is my star signing. He's got 2 seasons left, fantastic hair. Sometimes that's a plus point for me. Might just say, well, I'll have $5 more. I can just be jealous for a season. Again, he's progressed humongously. Like he came in at 23, he's now an 88. I got him for $49. So this guy got him for 12, which, he
That's
still
mad.
actually made a profit, even though he's only got 2 seasons left. But look how good he is. A 94 defense, 97 physical. So you don't want to be giving him a square go in the Coatbridge car park or anything. This guy's he can handle himself. Not great passing, but he's still relatively quick for a defender. And obviously, he's going to be like the best player there. So again, I've improved that team. So I think that I need to blow my nose. Uh, I have improved that team. I've now got an 84 goalkeeper instead of an 81. I picked up some sort of better backup options. I've got an 88 defender. Um, and then this is the guy I was talking about earlier, Wellington Palomino. So I really like him because he's got a worse hairdo than me. So I can just look at him and think, yeah, not everybody's blessed with fantastic hair. But he's really progressed through his career. I had him round about sort of this point, I think. And then he's changed hands a few times. So he was at Inca King. I paid $75 for way back 2024. So he went up a lot. Then he's went to these different teams and I picked him back up for $15 just with a view to bring them back for one season. So again, probably too much for one season, but he's an 84. And if he gets a golden boot and he gets his like a cup run, maybe a wee trophy or whatever, then I don't mind spending like a tenner in terms of our money, as I call it. To apologise to the Americans with their dollars there. So in terms of overall HQ, I mean it's definitely looking a lot better. I can't remember why I bought this guy. He's retiring. Like I paid $1 for him or something. I can't remember why I bought him. I think it was maybe in the off chance that maybe he'll stay in my agency and he'll maybe be a coach one day or something, you know what I mean? But he's going to retire. And then, so a few of these guys are like, the best players are all going to retire this season or next season, but I've not paid a lot of money for them, right? So,
Yeah.
for me, $15, $20 is quite low end of the budget. So, and then this guy was very, very expensive, but he's so good. He's 99 for
Wow.
passing, so he's
Yeah.
really good in the engine, I think, at the moment, because you can play him with sort of crossing and maybe risky passing. He's been a real progressor. So as you said, don't like discount these guys, right? This
Yeah,
guy
look
came
at
in as a
that.
37, which was only like 5 seasons ago. And he went for $85. So somebody recognized that he was going daft. He went for $130, and then I paid a crazy amount for him. So again, the reason I've loaned him out, I'm getting a few percentage back, but I really, considering I paid so much for him, I really want him to be like in the right division. So I'd rather he was up at silver or gold and hopefully still progressing one or two. Because if he goes up to 70, 87, 88, he'll either be a brilliant player for me, or if he's not a brilliant player for me because he's finding it a wee bit harder just now, then he'll still have resale value because he's only going to be 27 next season. So he's
Without a
not
doubt.
too bad. So I'm hoping he kicks on, but he's gone back to Kev again, even though I probably could be doing with him at Celtic. But if we'd went up from iron to bronze, I would have definitely used him, I think. But
Yeah.
I've just sort of left them. So, and then to have a look at the clubs. Yeah, you've helped me with these badges, which I think are looking really, really good. I mean, my favourite one's the Lisbon Lions. So the story behind that is I've even got the classic shirt, right? The bog standard green and white hoops, no frills. This is pretty close to the old away strip and everything. Celtic won the European Cup in 1967, and basically that's kind of one of the most important things about Celtic is just first British club to win the European Cup. And if you go into the trophy room and everything, people still go in and look at that trophy even 2026. So when I seen Lisbon coming up, it was just one of those cities that I thought that's on my roadmap of I want that in the agency. So paid about $100 for it. I don't know how much it's worth. I didn't even look, to be honest. I was just like, yeah, I really want a Lisbon. And Riso is a really cool guy as well. He's
Yes.
really likes getting these proper cities, and he likes like collecting things, etc. So it's quite good to just give him the money as well. So there we go. I'm hoping I've got some teams that are a bit more overpowered to that'll make up for my tactical deficiencies just now. So I'm a bit rusty, but teams are all looking good, I think. So, oh, and I forgot to I'll need to reshare. I forgot to show the two guys that actually pulled out of the packs. So, like you, I struggle to maintain a plan. So I thought I'm going to pick up like two uncommon packs, sell them for like $35 each, and then maybe pick up some quality players. I've only got 2 seasons left, maybe for $20, $30 each, been paid for by the game. And then nobody was really buying them, so I just like totally lost patience. But that kind of worked out. So I got this guy.
Yeah, he's nice. He's good.
Everybody loves a Brazilian, better hair than me already. Fantastic. And although he's a 20 left mid, he's actually rated as a 74 cam. So it doesn't show, like, well, it does show you cam here, but it doesn't show you how good he is. But because he's 70 for dribbling and 82 for passing, he's a 74.
That's my
Um,
kind of player. I love a cam. I love a left-footed cam. That's a lot. Most of my cams are left-footed. I don't know why. I
yeah.
just do. He looks a great player
And
at
then the
20
other
years
guy
old as
pulled, so
well.
this guy's 22. So again, in first inspection, he's an 81 for defending, so pretty good. But he's even better. He is a 74 centre back, so he's really good at
Mm.
centre half. So when he's getting up to the 60s in terms of passing, so you could play out for the back with him. Really good at defending. He's not that slow. I mean, obviously he's not like brilliant, but that's the sort of profile of a lot of defenders. But he's, good at defending. He's pretty physical, and he's a +4 at centre back. So the good thing is he could go up to like say 74, and then
Mm.
he's still a 78 as a centre back. Obviously, he'll find it tough to go through the tier break, etc. But if he does go up, he's still got four he can go up. So he's on the 74 for being a centre back just now, but he's not on the overall tier break just now. So that's kind of a bit of an advantage that there'll be a bit of growth there without getting to that point where it becomes harder. And again, it's
Mm.
good they've done that because it protects up our scarcities, right? There's only like 30 rare packs being sold or something midweek. So, the other rare packs are all coming from people winning them, which means that rewards are valuable as well. So I think there's a nice balance to that.
I think I've just got around 50,000 MFL still to spend. And I don't know what to spend it on. Not that there's nothing to spend it on. I just don't know what I want to do. And
Yeah.
then I just like, do I want to do it on some packs? But I know my pack luck is usually not that great. Unless I get a pack and sell a pack or give it as a gift on one of our streams. All those players are amazing every single time. But the ones I open for myself aren't. But I'm like, what am I doing with this MFL? It's like burns a hole in your pocket, doesn't it? I'm like, what do I
Aye.
want to do with it? Because there's no point holding on to it. I know because again, like even if next season and whatever, even if I had 200,000 MFL, I'm not going to buy a legendary pack or a rare pack or whatever because I don't get them at that place. I'd rather hone in on players at that level. Like if I'm going to get a rare player or whatever, I'd rather go on the market and go, who do I need, exactly what stats, and how do I want it? And I'd rather do it that way. So I'm only ever really going to buy, you know, commons, limited, and uncommon packs. So I don't know what I'm holding it on for. It just is sat there. Have you still got quite a bit left of yours?
No, well, I mean, I think I got about 45,000, so I've still got about seven or eight left. But if you look at it,
Yeah.
I got the 70, 74 packs, so I quite like that you can get the ranges, and like you could
Yes.
probably pick up two of them and you could get quite good players in there. I mean,
Mm.
obviously I was a wee bit lucky because both of those guys have got like a plus for alternative positions. I mean, mostly people are -3, -4 in alternative positions. So, firstly, they're good
Yeah.
for squads because you can use them in two positions, and secondly, pretty good for cups because like
Mm.
the way you're assigned to cups is based on your overalls. So, if you've got like five guys in your team who are +3, +4 in different positions, then that means that you're getting into a slightly softer cup based on your overalls. So either if people progress over the season or you've got those guys who are better in different positions, then gives you a fighting chance at getting a bit of success, which is, you know, last season, the boys, I think they made more MFL in the cup than they did in Iron. I did
Mm.
come seventh, but, you know, like the cups are really quite important. I only got to quarterfinals as well. I mean, it was good to get to quarters, but it's not as if I won it or anything. I still
Mm.
got good amount of MFL. So I was obviously assigned to a good cup, and in terms of standard wise, if you know what I mean, there was good rewards if you beat the other players there. But it's all worked out so that you're in against similar levels.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree what you were saying about the packs because, like, if you get in a common pack, I think it's double the amount to get a 50 to 54, but you're guaranteed a 50 to 54 player, and it is well worth paying the extra. And I think at uncommon, it's only it's like 7,000 more maybe. So instead of 10, it's 17. But like you say, you're guaranteed someone in that bracket. And I always prefer to do it that way. I know people have gone, but you could get two common packs. I'm like, yeah, but that's two chances of getting 37 rated. I'm
Yeah.
guaranteed someone in that rated, and you can play anyone that you get in that pack in Flint, you'll be fine. Even if they're a rotation piece. And the same can be said further up. So I think you did the right thing getting the 17,000 one for the 70 to 74. It's a little bit harder to justify that when you go to rare because I think rare from the normal player to the bracketed one is quite a lot different.
It's
So
like I think it's 100,000 MFL, but then you get a
yeah.
minimum of an 80. And what I would say is that like when all these guys retire, I mean, you see even just from my agency there, like there's quite a few that are going to go by the end of next
Mm.
season. So, I'll need to replace them in some way. And when I replace them, then that means that, unless there's other guys coming through, I mean, you've got a few guys of my previous guys that were in my
Yeah.
agency. So they would have been the guys who are coming through that level. But, they've progressed, but not everybody progresses. So
No.
it's just finding that balance within the game. And the other thing is, like, if I come back to you now, I'll need to get you even more drunk than me because you don't want to get rid of Miranda now. So that like if you get to that stage, like sometimes people sell players, but sometimes people really hog them, until the last minute, which means that it creates a bit of a sort of marketplace like real life.
Yeah.
If it's like real life, if you got a good player, then teams don't want to sell them. So sometimes it might be that this guy's worth 5 million or whatever, but you go and you say, right, I'll give you 5 million, and they
Mm.
say, we just don't want to sell him.
Yeah.
So it's exactly the same in MFL, right? If you want to get some of those best players, like say I just said just now, right, I'm going to put 10 grand in. I'm not, but say I said I'm going to put 10 grand in, I'm going to just want to play in Diamond. Firstly, you got your license up there. So there's very few on the market, and I think the one that is probably a few £1,000s, which makes sense because you get good MFL earnings even if you just bottom of the league. And then you're not going to get like Ronan or other teams loaning their best players to you, right? You say, oh, I would like
No.
to loan in a few 95s. No chance. That's not happening. And then obviously, if you want to buy them, then they're only going to want to sell them when they don't need them, which means
Yeah.
that they're probably going to be retiring, or maybe it's just somebody that doesn't fit their plans in terms of how their team wants to play. You said you want to play a 4-1, 2-1, 2 an arrow. They maybe play wide mids or something. So,
Mm.
yeah, I mean, um, it's going to be difficult. So sometimes you've got to sort of build your way through the game and just work your way through the pyramid, and that's a kind of natural way to do it. Because then if you arrive there and you've got players in your own agency, then you're not needing as much help. But I don't know how are you feeling about. I mean, you don't have a lot of older players, so probably not affect you. But I'm kind of looking forward to Monday. I'm like, hoping all the best players all get that symbol saying that they're
Yeah.
going to retire. Like,
I think I don't have well, I do have a chunk of older players, but like you say, they're either in the ice or spark or flint. So I've got younger players coming through, or younger players are loaned out, or they'll come out of dev jail, so I'm not that worried. But I do have one, two, three, four, five, six players that are in that dockside team that are 29. So I am nervous about those players. Like I know if they get the retirement symbol, I've got 3 seasons, 2 good seasons and one final season where their energy is just going to be shot. But at that point, but what I would probably do is if one of those got the retirement symbol or two of them got the retirement symbol now, I probably would be inclined to take a hit and try and sell them on the market now and then replace them with somebody. So it cost me more, but I'd replace them with probably somebody that's maybe I don't know, 24, 25. I probably wouldn't go all the way as low as a really young player, but I'd go again if I'm buying someone at that level, I'm probably looking somewhere 24, 25, 26. I'm quite happy to pay that range. And I could probably pick someone up for say 25 to $30 on the market in that range. If I could get, $20 for my guy, I'm happy to do that investment. Even if I got 15, back to your point, I'd do an investment of the 10 extra dollars or 15 extra dollars even or whatever to get someone that's almost identical rating that is going to last me a minimum of the three plus maybe more. But yeah, I don't try and hold. If they're lower down, they get a retirement symbol. I'll hold on to them. But at that level, I am a bit nervous that if they get one, I will probably want to ship them out. I would imagine. But outside of that, I've literally got no worries because the way I play the game, retirement's never going to hinder me unless it's in my dockside. Any other club, it's not going to hinder me ever, probably. I'm not that worried.
I think that's a good way to play it as well, to be honest. I think I had my agency kind of set up like that, if that makes sense. But obviously, I mean, some of the guys are sold on. I mean, Hosseini, who's going to retire this season, he went to like BFC Barcelona or something and paid $350 for him. He was going insane. I mean, he was the most fun guy ever to own on
Hmm.
MFL. I mean, honestly, I remember one day I went in and he had went +4 for something on a
Wow.
stat. And it's like in one training session, he'd went a +4. It was just absolutely bonkers. But I got $850 for him. So I used him for a couple of seasons and I got a profit. Now, he might not have kept progressing. Also, if I had kept him because I wasn't up in Diamond and everything, he might not progressed either because he was at like too low a level. But I made a profit. And obviously, those guys have probably done pretty well because they've had one of the best sort of strikers in the game. So if I'd
Hmm.
kept everybody, I'm sure it would be up at a higher level. But once you get up to silver and gold and stuff like that, you get to the point where if you want to improve your teams, you're either going to
Yeah.
have to give away a really good chunk of your earnings, or you're going to have to be spending like 400 and 500 quid per player. And that's what you say. I mean, obviously, sometimes you've maybe just got to accept that you might have a season where you're just treading water. You maybe
Mm.
try to accumulate some MFL to buy some packs, or you're just trying to like basically accepting that you're going to go back down and then you're going to have to
Yeah.
rebuild or whatever. And I suppose
Exactly.
like because like I'm used to winning, I'm a bad loser, so at least I admit
Yeah.
it.
I am a bad loser as well. I think it's like as well. You got to think of the progression. So when we were just talking then about players and buying a player or whatever, I'll just show one example on the screen before we start to probably think of wrapping it up. But I'll show you this guy on my screen because you got to remember as well if you are selling them. So when I say retirement summers, so let's just pick this left back right back here. Yeah. So he's 29. He's played in my dockside. He's got a +9 progression. I don't know how much of that if he's got any this season. So I grabbed him for 20. Yeah. He's got good progression. He's got whatever. Now, if he gets the retirement symbol when he ticks over at 30, he's got 3 seasons left. I reckon I'm not going to have to take less than even say 15. Yeah. So you work that. So then you could argue, okay, you've lost five, but because he's progressed, I've only lost five. Imagine if I bought him where he was and he didn't progress up at all. I'd probably be selling him for a tenner, and so on. And you've got other examples of that. If you've got players that have progressed up, like some of these guys, they might have got um like this right back. He if he got it next season at 29, again he cost me like $22. And he's got real good progression, so he could kick on a little bit. But again, even if I lost $10 on him, I'm not that bothered because I'd go out and pick someone else up, and there's lots of gems to be had out there. I picked this guy before the season started, and again, he was $28. He could get the retirement symbol, but he's progressed for me this season too, and he could have gone up again with more game time probably. He wasn't the starter in the team; he was the backup. But he's a really good rounded player. So I suppose what I'm saying is don't forget about the progression and where the player got you from. And if you've got people that have progressed quite a lot, so if we go like all time, remember like if this guy here gets a retirement symbol, I've maybe had him since he's started, or I maybe bought him cheaper. The right back I was talking about, maybe probably one from you, but I got him from you for 30. If he got, he's got quite a lot of seasons left. So I think that's
Yeah,
what people have
that's
to
true.
remember is that retirement symbol is look at this keeper. He's 28. He's gone up plus 10. I think most of that's from when I got him. So I got him like back here. So he's
No,
gone
but he
up.
was mines as well.
He might have been, but
Yeah, he
again,
definitely was. I remember him.
even if he wasn't from you, the money you'd lose, it's not as big a deal as you think if you've got some progression. I think I got this guy for free. So he was a guy I got for free, and he's got his progression. So yeah, if he gets a retirement symbol,
He's really
and
good.
I have to sell him, then you know what I mean. I think the people you've got to I've maybe not explained that well, but you've got to remember where you got the player at what rate you got him from. You might pay $10. He might have gone up a plus nine in all the years you've got him. You're probably going to get that $10 back, even when he hits the retirement symbol, potentially. And then you can reinvest that. Like, you might have to go lower down, but if you want to replace like for like, you'd maybe have to spend $20, but $10 of it was already written off from before.
Yeah. And also, it's $20, right? I mean, I've seen the pictures of your Chinese in a weekend, and I'm sure you spent probably 40 or $50 on chicken balls and
Yeah.
chicken curry
I,
and
I think
beers and
I think
so
that yeah, I like if and I think like Bruce says it a lot when we're doing our pod, like he wants to play at the top and he could afford to play at the top. So could I. He literally could. Like you say, Chinese and all these type of things, holidays, everybody jokes about like have 10 holidays a year. Could quite easily do it. I just don't, it's not where I want to play. I've always played football
yeah,
manager from the bottom to the top. So when I have my little Flint teams and they're doing progression, then Spark and I like that, and they start to progress up, I don't necessarily need them to go all the way to the top. I just want to have fun with the game and enjoy it. But
yeah,
yeah, it's whatever you
yeah,
want to. And at the minute, like if I walked away, I wouldn't be that worried with what I put in if I got X% of it back. I'm not that bothered. I don't play it for ROI, and I think you can try and play it that way, and some people will try and pick up those progressions and do it. But I think you can only really ideally do it one of the two ways because it's very difficult to have fun and have one eye on ROI. And I bet you can't do it on ROI and try and have fun because you need to be zoning in on one of them, quite a lot, I
yeah.
think.
Yeah. No, because I think that you're right. Sometimes the best decision is to sell somebody, but like when you get that guy who's went like plus 10 in 2 seasons, the most fun thing is just to watch him develop in your own team the next season. So
Exactly.
like so it's like do I take like $100 for this guy and I've got like 60 or 70 quid and I can afford as many Chinese as I want this weekend? Or do I just like run this guy for another season, take the chance that maybe he goes again? Or if he stagnates, his value is going to plummet because people think he's hit his max or whatever. But that's just the way you've got to play the game. And
Yeah.
again, that was kind of when I got up to silver. I mean, it was so hard. Like, you know, you could do everything right and you could beat 5-0, you
Yeah.
know. And I had like four legendary players and some really good rating type players, really solid team. But you could just do everything right and you could get scudded because there were some really good teams there. And,
Yeah.
it's just such a competitive level and that's what happens, right? So,
Mm.
I was thinking, how am I going to improve this? If I'd had a bit of patience, I could have waited. But, I have no regrets at all because I managed to have a break. I got like all my money back plus profit. I put a
Yeah,
bit back in. I'm still not really. I think I'm probably, even if I got nothing back at all, just now it's probably still be in a marginal bit of profit. So
yep,
don't really regret it
yeah,
in any way, and hopefully now find a way just to play it for fun and
yeah.
yeah, just go from there basically.
But
So
I do it the way you said, like that though. It's like, I don't know. Say say you think, oh, shall I go get a sandwich from the sandwich shop and it's going to cost £4 or £5? Maybe I don't need to actually have one that day. I could just get another player. And I know that sounds really daft, but that's how I do it in my mind. Like, and that's like you're saying about a Chinese, yeah, like you spend 40 quid or 50 quid on a Chinese takeaway for two or three people, and like that's gone, isn't it?
yeah,
It's mad. I don't think I'll ever get to a point where I'm buying a player for $100. That's just the way I am. Because I do see value in how I'm spending it, and that's why at the minute, I don't know how much my most expensive one is. It'd be sub 50, maybe $50. That to me is probably the limit I would want to buy for a player, no matter how aged they are, which is why I know at some point Dockside will either have to become getting loads of loans in, or I'm just going to be a an iron and if I because an iron and stone, iron stone. But the ironic thing, what I would do, and this is like really crap, if I knew I was just my peak level was stone or iron, and I was never going to change. If it was just, if I knew I was going to get relegated from one, like that's the division that's like my peak because I don't want to invest anymore. I would just put my shittest players in there, get relegated, loan out my best players for a season, and then bring them back, and then challenge again for the MFL. Because if I know there's impossible to go up, why am I going to put my players? I'd have to meet the tier, I mean. But I don't mean like I'd put my worst players in the
yeah,
agency. I'd put the worst players I've got on that tier of the minimum that has to be at that level. And I'd just let it soak out. Because I don't want to have to get to the point of investing hundreds on players. That's just me, you see.
yeah. No, 100%. I mean, say through time, sometimes things change. Sometimes you go on the market and you see somebody and you just think, "Oh, I'm going to push the boat out a bit." I mean, like the other day, I went on and I never really thought I was going to buy that guy that was 88, and I thought, you know what, it's like 35 quid, and like I do spend much more than that on players and so rare. So obviously, I've got a bit of a
Yeah,
budget to use or whatever. So me spending like $49 on that guy's maybe a wee bit different from somebody coming into the game who's got a bit of a restricted budget. But I just thought, he's going to improve my team. And,
yeah,
I know I'm definitely getting 2 seasons out of him. I know the second season I'm not going to be able to use him in every game. But by that point, like I'm hoping that a couple of my other guys have went through that 84 into the 85 or 86. I've got a few
yeah,
guys stacked at 84. It's going to take a bit of time. That's fine. And then we'll just play from there. Or maybe even when he gets to that point, there'll be somebody else on the market for 20 or $30, and yeah,
yeah,
I've not really been drinking much at the weekend. I'm on my coffees and stuff just now. We're way down to get another one
yeah,
after this. But I'm not spending money on other stuff at the weekend. So
mhm,
if I'm going to put 50, 60, 70 quid into MFL, who cares?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
that's what I want to use my budget for. So
yeah.
it's my fun money, and if I don't see it again, it's
You
definitely
don't see
going to
it.
last me a bit longer than
Mm.
those Chineses. I'd be a bit more kind to my
And be a
toilet.
bit more
Anyway,
kind,
that's
exactly.
not.
I think, like you say, those clubs at that level, even higher, a lot of, if you look through lots of the clubs, they are some of them have just got 29, 30-year-olds and or retired players because they're doing exactly what you said. Like, let's just say an average of every one of those players is $30 and they get a few seasons out of them. The MFL they'll take being at that level will far outweigh the fact that they didn't pay $300 per player.
Yeah,
Like it depends on your longevity, you see, because again, if you invest a lot in a player at that tier and they take you up, but then they're no good at that tier again because they're not good enough for the league above, you paid hundreds for them. What do? You either need to loan them all out or have a second club or be prepared to come back down or invest. So it
yeah,
becomes, you've got to have a strategy. And I think there's lots of different ways to play the game. And I'm sure those people that do it that way will have a strategy. It's just, I just play it for ease. I just play it for chill, have a bit of fun. And, whatever happens, happens. So I quite like playing that way. But kudos to anybody, however, plays it the way they want. I think that's the beauty of MFL, right? You can play it in a multitude of different ways and still get something out of it.
yeah. No, 100%. No, definitely. And I think that as an overall strategy, I mean, I might need to use my MFL at the end of the seasons to regenerate the agency. Like, next season I think I'm hoping I'll make enough to get like a rare player, if
Yeah,
I wanted to, or a rare pack, sell it for $100. Even if I got a rare pack, sold it for $100, I could get five guys and that have got 2 seasons left that are really good rated players that will go straight into a team and be competitive. So it's kind of in a way is a bit more self-sufficient. All right, I
Yeah.
might be losing some of those guys I've already bought, but gets to that point where you're able to sort of like you if you don't want to put money in, then you don't have to. I probably would if I need to put in 20 or
Mhm.
30 quid on a weekend, it doesn't bother me. But like
Yeah.
if I just want to use the money that's coming from inside the game, then should be able to do that as well. And because guys are selling these really good players, they just want to get some money back, like you said, like you'll get my 20, $30 back. I've spent 60, can do something else. It means you can get
Yep.
really good players that you wouldn't otherwise have access to. So it's quite a good ecosystem from that point of view. And obviously, if I'm looking forward to Monday. I'm going to see if I can pick up some 90s or something. Somebody's just
Yeah,
chucking away
exactly.
a brilliant player,
Exactly. Because that MFL you'll get if you do get promoted or do whatever, and like you say, you go for your packs, and you got two options, don't you? You go for the pack and then sell it, or you can go for the pack and then open it, whichever way you want to do it.
yeah,
Because all you'll be able to refeed your agency back at whichever level you're at. It's all quantifiable in it. Like the guys at the top are replenish their agency with the guys at the top. Same as the guys at the bottom. It's all the same. Whatever you put in, you get out. You can't, put in so much little and expect to get so much out. It's just not the way it is. You've just got to
yeah,
find where it fits for you, I guess,
yeah.
through the pyramid.
If you're good at
Um,
the game, though, I mean, it can be quite self-sufficient. Like as you
yeah,
say, like some guys maybe they'll buy a few players, they'll maybe trade them on for a bit more, they'll build up their money that way. Some guys will come in, they'll buy their license, they'll loan players. I mean, I remember
yeah,
when I was in the last time, I had a lot of players, and there was times where I would be loaning out guys, and people would, what percentage do you want? I was like, I'm not loaning this
mhm,
guy out for pay. I want him to play like every game
yeah.
until he's knackered. And
I
he's like,
think,
yeah, I'll use him. He's like, well, you just take him for 2%. I'm not
yeah,
interested in your MFL. I want this guy to play because he's only like
yeah,
18 or 19. So, if you get
yeah,
in the communities and, somebody can help you out a wee bit, it might work for both of you. Like,
hmm,
I'll definitely have guys at the end of this season where I'll probably have to, like 64s, I'll need to get them onto somebody else for games because, I'm up minimum of ice. I don't even have a spark team. So it's going to
exactly.
have to happen. So,
Yeah, and I think like the last thing I'll just say as well is like I've got what 330 odd players in my agency, and it's worth just short of 2K, I think, which isn't a lot, but I've not put anywhere near that amount into it, and that'll be because wherever progression has happened with the players, or whenever I've bought them at a time, or whether they've gone into Dev Center and come out. And that's just for me, and that's low. But like I was saying to someone in our Discord yesterday, in the YTXP Discord, I think there was a bit of a debate about buying all these $1 and $2 players. And I'm like, it's almost physically impossible for me not to get that $1 or $2, if not more, back. It's impossible. Because if I've got a 20-year-old and he goes into Dev for 4 years and he cost me $2, you're almost as sure as eggs when he comes out, he's going to be worth at least that $2, if not more. You will get some that's worth $1, and you'll get some that's worth 10 because they've gone up a lot. But I'm not going to lose. And then, like you said, when you're doing that, if you do sell them on or whatever you want to do, you just can reinvest that further up. And that's what I do with my kitty. I'll just reinvest it into Dockside. But
yeah,
yeah,
fair
I've
play.
not spent anywhere near that amount because I could keep a tally of it. When I have to do it on a Saturday and Sunday morning, I'm like, oh, for God's sake, what did I? Yeah, just yeah. Anyway,
Don't tell the wife.
yeah,
She's wanting her
literally,
Chinese.
literally,
Hey, well, thanks very much for coming on. It's been good to get somebody else on the channel and obviously have a chat to MFL. So we're into the off season now. I think they say with the deal, it's about 14 days or whatever to buy a club, get the credits. And yeah, I mean, obviously the season's running all the time. We're getting towards the end of the real life European season. Will be the World Cup coming up, but it's still 3 months away. So,
mm,
sometimes it's quite nice just to have another interest and something to get stuck into. But yeah, so you come back on the channel again at another point.
yeah, absolutely. I'd like to be on, like you say, however often you want to get me on, whether it's mid seasons or post seasons. It'd be good to do something similar to this, like at a regular interval. If
Yeah.
you're up for it, I think it's quite nice, probably for you to have, like you say, a different face on the channel as well.
We'll let the viewers decide. If nobody watches it, you're never getting invited back again, right? Nah, I'm only kidding. Nah, we'll probably get a catch up round about sort of mid-season or something. So try to do a bit more in terms of content. It gets a bit sort of not boring, but I'm not very good at this sort of live streaming, and it's quite cool when you've got the games and nobody knows the results and stuff. So that's obviously one
Yeah.
element of it. So next time I do some videos, etc., I might actually get some highlights of the goals and stuff in it if I can do that. But yeah, no, definitely we'll catch up again soon. Thanks for coming on.
Cool.
So do you know
Yeah.
how to
Thank
end the
you.
videos now? It's a bit. I did start a bit on sorry, but we always say good luck and
Go fuck.
go fuck. Yeah, good luck and go fuck. Right, catch you later, guys. Thanks for
See ya.
watching. Cheers.